So 540.80. So we're going to be crashing down here through that 437 low. And that's also losing your 1 hour 20 SMA. I'm in on a little bit of a scalp here, guys. This is a first push down. This is extremely dangerous because definitely you could get that wick through and then immediate reclaim, right? That immediate remount, which it's kind of doing right here. So I got to be a little bit careful to see if there's going to be any momentum follow through. What's the time looking like? 8:30 here, so pretty fresh on the 30-minute candle. Yeah, a better move would be allow it to break that level here, allow it to bounce, right? Allow it to bounce back up in this range, get rejected, and then come crashing down through 429. That would be a good move there. Below 439 or 429. What is it? 429? Yeah, 429. So you could definitely allow that to kind of play out a little bit. ATR is looking at, what are we looking at here? 22 points. So half of an ATR is about 10 to 12 points. About I would say about 9 about 9 to 11 points. If you can get 9 to 11 points on your scalps right now, that's pretty good. Depending on, if you're trading like a 5-minute time frame, obviously that changes if you're trading different time frames. We have to see if this higher time frame support at 37s wants to hold. So we'll have a little bit of a battle here at 435, 437. Upper supply is sitting at 481. So what is that? 45-point range or so that we're sitting in between 480s and 437s. Got about a 40-point range, 35 to 45-point range, where this could dance and definitely chop around. Higher time frame support is here, so we got to keep that in mind. But we are below VWAP on the 1 hour chart, and we are trying to test this 20 SMA on the 1 hour. 5-minute, both below VWAP and the 20 SMA, which are two levels of supply and demand that I look for a lot to kind of gauge where I want to throw my money at what side of the trade. Maybe what we want to see is a little bit of a bear flag start to form where you get a couple of candles that start to push higher and then you get a breakdown. So I will keep an eye on that as well. I can start drawing it out now here with these two wicks. So I would look at something like that, right? I know that I have this 437 level. We breached it. Now we're kind of popping up a little bit. We are holding the 1 hour support, so I'm going to kind of watch this level here to see if it wants to hold. Let's change the color here so it doesn't confuse me. Maybe we'll do orange, kind of stand out a little bit. Actually, we'll do purple. That'll stand out more. So we'll see what this wants to do here. Again, this is the first test of that 1 hour 20 SMA that we've had probably since Monday. Monday, we kind of swept below it, hit that double trend line that goes back a month, and then we just ramped. So it's been about 2 trading days here where we haven't tested that 20 SMA on a 1 hour chart. So far, decent bounce here, bounce about 20 points off of it. So we are coming to the upper extreme of that 5-minute ATR. Anytime you come to the upper extreme of that range, I tend to look for a reaction, whether that's a new candle forming and a confirmation back into supply, or whether that's the exhaustion move and then you come back down. So if it does bounce and it confirms, I would be looking at 477, 480 rejection And if the next candle starts pushing down, then you would see, you know, another retest here. I'd like to see this continue to bounce here. Maybe even for another 10-15 minutes. If it bounces another 10-15 minutes, creates a nice little bear flag, and then breaks through, could be a really good short trade. But uh don't be scared of the long here in this area as well. So it's a little bit of a two-sided trade in between a tough range. 437 and 480 is a tough spot to be in between. $200 on the 5-minute. Yeah, it could very well be a little bit of a sweep there to kind of trap some of these shorts that have been, you know, literally sitting short since about 10 minutes off the open, right? There's been a lot of shorts since the start of the market open here. Could be a very good spot for a trap. Could be a very good spot. So we'll just kind of keep our eyes on this here. Again, if we do start to lose the 20 SMA today, you know, that this could be the first day where the sellers actually get some follow through, right? Sellers could finally get some follow through. So far, you know, anytime the market is pushed down, the buyers have stepped up very quickly. This is why I say too, a lot of times, especially if you're going against trend, higher time frame trend, you always want to see price break your level, and then you want to see a following candle confirm. Now, if the following candle that confirms traps you and you take a loss on it, I would rather that happen 10 times out of 10 times than for me to go short on the initial 437 and then be very upset if it bounces 30-40 points, right? So that's always going to be the safer play, especially if you're looking for a little bit more continuation. If you're looking for a quick scalp, 5 to 10 points, then I could see how that first entry might appetize you, but just make sure you're very disciplined on where you're going to get out, or at least have a plan of where you want to get out, right? If it doesn't work. You know, that way you can kind of see what you got to work with there. We're back to flirting here with the same area. Be patient, guys. There's no rush. Now, in order for me to want to get long through that support, I would have rather seen some type of closure below 437 and then maybe a doji candle or a hammer candle, or you know, a very at least aggressive wick, right? This breakdown, this initial break of 437 wasn't really significant to say, okay, you know, I'm sensing a lot of reversal. It's more so telling me that we do have supply that is pushing down. I could see a bounce that does continue to get rejected, and we put in one more low. So for me, the price action is still a little bit more leaning to the bearish side on your shorter, smaller time frames. Now, the bigger time frame is still telling us, you know, great spot to get long here. So there's a little bit of conflict in that confluence between the higher time frame and your smaller time frame. That's why probably right now, for maybe the less experienced traders, probably patience is going to be your best friend in this particular scenario, because you're more than likely going to get a beautiful long setup a little bit later off of this, or you're going to get a beautiful bounce and an absolute wipeout through the lows later. So instead of trying to, again, if you're a little bit less experienced or uncomfortable, you're probably better off just kind of waiting for something more significant to happen than to, you know, trying to be sprinkling in your positions here. And we got about 15 minutes here before lunchtime. That is going to be the start of a new hour candle print as well, which I could see during lunch, because again, remember, and I will just keep saying it, but every time you go into lunch, look to the left of the chart. What did the price action do, right? I'm not here to argue that it was choppy or it was slow or low volume. Forget that. What did the chart do? Did the chart move higher or did it move lower? In this particular case, the chart has moved lower off the open. So when you are at a level of support and you are flipping from the morning AM session into the PM session, where algorithms are going to change a little bit, and you're going to have some people profit taking, you're going to have some repositioning, right? You could see that chop in the opposite direction of what we did left of the chart prior to lunch. That's also a model, a strategy that you guys can kind of build something off of, because if even if you've been watching this price action and you maybe you missed some shorts, you could maybe look to reverse the trend a little bit during lunch, assuming we don't take out lows, right? So assuming you don't take out the low of day during lunch, or maybe right off that fresh candle you get a sweep and then a reversal, you could look to reverse that trend during lunch and kind of play back into that supply in this particular case, because we've been trading lower. And then if there's going to be continuation of what we were doing in the AM session, then at the 10 o'clock hour for me, Pacific Standard Time, you can get back short at those supply zones. If it's going to be a complete reversal, then you can wait for the pullback and then take a bounce over a previous swing high coming out of lunch. But I always will kind of, you know, for sure be at the charts at lunchtime, because I'd like to see what we do during that hour, right? Because typically there's about 1 to 2 trades between the start of lunch until the hour coming out of lunch. You're normally going to get 1 to 2, you know, decent setups where you can catch a little bit of a scalp, a little bit of a, you know, reversal or something like that. So that's kind of what I look at during this time. The perfect scenario for me would be that lunch hour candle opens up and we sweep the lows, right? We sweep the lows, absolutely trapping a lot of shorts, and then you reverse back long. That would be a very, very good picture perfect setup. Now, if we kind of just build a floor right here where we're at now, it makes it a little bit more difficult, because it kind of almost feels like it's just gonna dead cat bounce into supply and kind of grind lower. So it becomes a little bit more difficult to kind of trust getting long off of this floor. That's why a nice sweep would be better. But again, if they made the markets that easy every single day, we would all be multimillionaires, right? So we kind of have to use our best judgment and manage our risk accordingly if we're going to put ideas on. I'm still watching this potential bear flag here. A bounce into 470s would be nice. A bounce into 470s would be nice for that potential rejection. That would also be our third lower high to potentially try to target back short. All shorts come off the table if we start to reclaim the VWAP and we reclaim that 20 SMA. All shorts will pretty much come off the table at that point in time. We'll just kind of be looking to stay long. We're getting a little bit of a disconnect now from your 20 SMA crossing below the VWAP. It's not something that I really look at as being that significant, but it is telling me that supply is dropping from where that average price was traded. So if this does continue to bounce, I would maybe look at a bounce into 470, 469. So, if someone took the long off the sweep here, that might be a good place to want to target to get out of that position. And definitely under 437, 440, you want to not be in a long position. Bill, how are you doing on the 9 evals? Are you taking some trades on them, or you gonna get those things going? What's going on? I'm keeping an eye on this previous swing high here at 472. Also, that 20 SMA at 472. That's what I'll be looking at. So if you guys are running the 20 SMA on your screen, you're looking at a 5-minute time frame, you're going to kind of see exactly what I'm talking about. Again, I would get a parallel chart going, guys, where you have a higher time frame that you can also see as well. That way you can kind of assess what the bigger time frame is doing, and you're not just so glued to what each individual small time frame candle is doing. You could get really tunnel visioned in on what this specific candle is doing versus what the chart looks like if you just kind of zoom out, right? And you look at the bigger picture. Let's see if we get a test of 470s here. See if we get that test into 470. 461. 462.75 is the high print here on this specific candle. We got about 3 minutes before this new hour candle starts to print here. I'm also keeping an eye on this flag pattern that I've drawn on the 5-minute time frame. right here testing it again. Remember, four above 437, this can still, it's still, you know, chopping to the upside. It starts to break below 437, take out the lows, you're going to have a lot of room down. It's going to be the first time we've lost the day, excuse me, the 1 hour 20 SMA. You guys can't, what the hell? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna have to just run it with it off, guys. But this maybe this will help. Maybe this will help read. Maybe this will help read the charts like I do. You know, just like try to just, you know, do the best you can at trying to read the price action. Again, if you guys want to like have the same things on my chart, all I'm looking at, VWAP, 20 SMA. I've drawn a price level line at 22,437, okay, which is matching up with the 1 hour 20 SMA. I also look at a 1 hour chart, and then I've just kind of drawn this bear flag trend line from this low of day, and I started at that bottom wick and I just drag it up. So that's all I'm looking at, right? Below all of that, I have a demand zone at 22,326. Above that, you know, I would just be looking at candlesticks, looking at prior swing highs, but that's about it, right? You know, there's nothing to really follow along too much on. We're all kind of looking at the same charts. And again, too, I never really like when people just get fixated on the chart. Like, I get that you guys want to see like what I'm looking at, but you have to do it on your own. Like, you know, like you have to do it on your own. But in terms of why the stream keeps lagging out like that, I'll figure that out. I'll figure that out. I don't know what the hell, why it does that. Because it did start with it on and then all of a sudden it threw it off. I don't know why. It's just weird, but whatever. Let's just try to make some cash here, guys. Again, we're still looking at the same thing. We've got this bear flag kind of forming here above 437. You don't really want to go short yet. I would like to see this test 468 to 480. I'd like to see it get up in that range. Again, if it doesn't and it wants to break down here, you know, I'm not opposed to going short below 437, especially on this new hour candle. I'm not opposed to that. Um, I would like the bounce to be a little bit higher before that happens, but you know, if we lived in a perfect world, right? If we lived in a perfect world. We are getting this 20 SMA to drop its ceiling on us a little bit here. So 468 is a ceiling here. Between 468 and 77 is the ceiling that I'm looking at. That's definitely creating a little bit of pressure down here on the bounce. For me, the pressure is still down. It's still down because we have yet to close over a previous swing high. We've yet to reclaim 20 SMA. We've yet to reclaim VWAP. So for me, the pressure is still down. Like, even though this could be a good spot for the market to dead cat bounce, I can't say that for sure until the market shows me that it's a good spot to bounce. And until price action kind of confirms that it's taking out a prior structure high, until it's reclaimed some area of support, to me, this is all just a big nothing burger, right? Like, this is just a big nothing. It just looks like it's going to go lower, in my opinion. So I don't really want to be long right here in this spot, and I'm kind of just waiting for a good opportunity to fire my short. I got that ceiling to drop a little bit more to 466 now. So I'm actually going to adjust my bear flag to the low of day wick to this current candle's wick. I'm going to just extend that out a little bit. I would just be a little bit patient here. Sometimes being patient is the best thing that you can do for yourself. Allows you to make a little bit more of a reasonable decision when it comes to what you're looking to do. A lot of times we want to jump price action in anticipation of what the hell the move's going to do. We just need to be extremely patient. So that way, even if you have all your ducks in a row and the trade loses, you know, you tip your hat to the market, right? You're never going to be right 100% of the time. But if you kind of just fly by the seat of your chair and just try to anticipate what the market's going to do, like, I think it's going to go lower here, so let me go short, it tends to be when the market burns you more than it doesn't, right? We're kind of breaking this trend line here. Remember the 437 support. We start getting below 437, you might see a wick down here to the low of day. I want to see price get below 437. The reason why we're getting hung up right here is that hourly 20 SMA support is sitting at around 437. So that's why I keep trying to emphasize 437. If we start to get below 437, we could see a decent push down. Even if it is just a sweep to like 28s, that's 10 points. If you manage to sweep the 28s, which is low of day, you could get a little bit more of a washout there on your short. Again, in a situation like this, a closure below 427, I would assume that you would probably have to be giving up at least 15 points on this trade. That would kind of invalidate the short position. So maybe your stop loss is between 15 and 20 points. If that's a little bit too much for you on the normal size that you trade, you just have to size down a little bit. Think about it in terms of, for every micro contract you're trading and you're risking, 15 to 20 points, you're giving up about $40, okay? So if you're giving up about $40 on that potential trade, how many contracts do you want to actually have on the table here? Let's see if we get a little bit of this double bottom down here closer to 28s. Good move so far. Good move. I'm just going to take some gains on that. I got in on the breakdown of the bear flag, looking for the test, right? So now I've got a little bit of a channel. That low of day that we had to where we just dropped, where we came pretty damn close to sweeping the low of day. This channel, I don't really want to do crap. If we break the previous hour low, that's breaking the bottom of the channel here, 428, 427, you might have a little bit of continuation to the downside there. But I definitely I wouldn't want to not have taken any profits right there. Looking for the back test now, right? Looking for the back test now of the broken trend line here. So as this kind of proceeds to bounce, if this does not take out the previous 5-minute candle high, right, this bounce, and it doesn't kind of reclaim this downwards trend line, this is a break and retest for a continuation down lower. Now you have a double bottom here, so any kind of retest here that fails to get above or fails to close above a previous 5-minute candle, you could look at some more continuation through 429s, 428s. Again, this is the second hour candle now that has tested and reclaimed, remounted that hourly 20 SMA. So until you close below your hour 20 SMA, the support is still there. It's still dangerous to be holding shorts if you're holding that higher time frame support. Okay, so very, very good double bottom test with the retest of that bear flag breakdown. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So in a situation like this, what would be my next idea that I'm looking for? The next idea is a short through 429, 428 off of a rejection bounce here. Okay. Now we do have upper supply at 462 and 476. That is pushing us down still. So until we can get over 462, 476, the pressure on a smaller time frame is still down. And like I said, the problem that we've been running into for the last hour is that your higher time frame, we're sitting right at support. So it's extremely difficult to just hold a short at this point in time if the higher time frame is showing us that it's holding that price. Okay. But I don't want to get long yet, right? Like I'm all for catching a bounce, but I don't want to get long yet until the price action can show me that it can reclaim a level of supply. So basically what I'm trying to do is I want the bear or the bulls to prove to me that they can reclaim an area that was lost. And as of right now, these little choppy bounces, it's not really proving to me that they're reclaiming any level of supply. Okay. So it's just more of like consolidate, 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 chop, 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 test lows, right? So again, very difficult to kind of trust either side right now, especially given that higher time frame is still in bullish context and the price has shown us that every pullback has been bought up, right? Either by the end of the day or going into the following day, and we just keep pushing off of support, right? So I'm ready for both sides here. If we lose 429, I'd rather just lose 429, sink down 20, 30, 40 points. Let me catch one more decent move and just get the hell out of the markets today. The long, I think, is going to need a little bit more time to set up because we do have some areas that we need to really reclaim first before I have any confidence that the longs are going to actually hold for longer than a candle or two. So we'll just kind of play it by ear here and be very, very patient. But I do have a double bottom on my 5-minute chart here at about 428, 429. You know, what are you guys looking for? Uh, what are you guys looking for right now? Anyone got anything else other than what I kind of see on the chart here that I can bring awareness to? There we go, guys. There we go. There's a breakdown through the 429s. Beautiful. Beautiful. Wait for it, baby. Wait for it. 429s all the way down to 422. So again, is it a lot of points? No. But again, if you're kind of waiting for something and you can catch a little bit of a move, we're still currently in this short position, right? So this is an active short position. I had an order sitting at the 429s for a couple of lots, right? So I was looking to trade 2 mini contracts, take 1 mini contract off at 5 points, and take anything else off a little bit more, right? I'm all out of the position. That's full transparency. This could definitely ride now, but this brings my balance up to $551.84. So absolutely smashed it here. I think I got a little bit of slippage on that too in a positive note, which is good because normally you get slippage on these damn prop firms in the negative, to the negative side. But getting in below 429s, right at 429s, have that sell stop order there. We've dropped to 420, which is about 9.5 points, right? So if you got that hard take profit at 5-6 points there, you're going to get filled pretty quickly, especially on that wick. It kind of gave it up pretty quickly. And again, I know that it sounds like I'm getting excited for 5-6 points, guys, but when the market has been showing us 19-point ATR, it's not really giving us 20, 30, 40-point candles that are just a lot of momentum. You know, I'll take it, right? I'll definitely take it. I'm not going to be complaining on it. Now that we are below 429, any reclaim of 437 probably going to invalidate the short, and it's going to be probably, this is going to be a short-term low of day for us, and it's going to get a decent bounce. Your ceiling is now coming up at 455. That's your declining 20 SMA. You still have that that bear flag trend line about matching up with the 20 SMA as well at 453. You are getting a hammer candle starting to print off here. So I would definitely be careful if you are in the short and you didn't grab quick profits. Again, this is where I kind of make the comment where experienced scalpers or an experienced trader who's had some screen time, and I'm not necessarily saying you're a great trader. I'm not the world's greatest trader. You know, do I know how to make a buck here or there? Sure, but I'm not the world's greatest trader. But I do have a lot of experience trading. I've been trading, you know, equities for 13 years. I've been trading props and futures for the better half of 3 years. I kind of can gauge when I should be looking to hold for a bigger move and when I just want to get green and get out, right? When I want to get green and get out. So that's the difference between someone who's like, okay, we broke 429s. I thought the market's just going to go down, right? Now you're kind of sitting there like a deer in the headlights, like, well, what the hell do I do? Well, here's what you do. You take a deep breath right now. You really assess the situation and you tell yourself, I don't want to get blown out, right? Like, I don't want to get blown out. I don't want to let my ego and my bias, you know, allow me to take a big loss. Look at the facts. What's going on the screens? We just swept low of day, but we are putting in a 5-minute hammer candle. That's extremely bullish in a sense, right? We are trying to remount this higher time frame 20 SMA on the 1 hour time frame. So if the market bounces from here, you can be in a very, very bad spot if you're still trying to hold short. In my experience, cutting a position at break even or slightly red, if it didn't work in your favor, is always going to be much better than holding something and hoping that it comes back. Trust me. Now, where does this short kind of get invalidated? I would say, in my opinion, if we start closing back over 438, okay? Especially if we start to take out 446. So those are areas that you can use as a stop loss, right? A closure over 438, kind of take a paper cut there, break even trade. You can give it over 446, 447. If you want to really give it some room, I would go all the way up to 463, which is about a 30-point stop loss. So it all depends on how much size you're trading. If you're trading a ton of size, you're not going to want to be in drawdown for 10, 15, 20 points. Versus if someone's trading 2 micros, then maybe this is not going to really affect you that much. But now that we're in lunchtime, remember what I said earlier. What did we do left of the chart prior to lunch? Maybe you get that algorithm to go in the opposite direction, right? Maybe you get that algorithm to go in the opposite direction. So maybe you do get a little bit of a bounce here during lunch. But again, I don't have a lot of confidence in the buyers. They've got to show me something. You know, they've got to show me that they can reclaim a level of supply. Because as of right now, all they're doing is just going lower, and then they kind of bounce back up to where they broke down from. If we broke down from 437 originally and went to 429, we haven't even reclaimed any of those areas yet, right? We're just bouncing back up into the same spot that we've lost. So here's your bounce here, back over 437. So again, where's your ceiling? Your ceiling is at 453. Your ceiling's at 453. This did sweep low of day, and it did put in a hammer candle. You could do something like this, right? You could do something like this. You can use that hammer candle as your gauge, right? And what do I mean by gauge? You can use it as your demand zone. So as long as we are holding the range, which is 18 points, as long as we are holding this range, you can tell yourself, I'll give the bulls the benefit of the doubt to see if they want to continue this bounce. That's what you do. What's your total risk? 18 points. Like that's going to be your total point. That's going to be your total risk, 18 to 20 points. So how do you want to manage that, right? How much size are you willing to put on the table if it does go completely against you? You know, I would say 18 to 20 points. If you look at the ATR on a 5-minute time frame, it's 18, 19 points. So you're giving up basically one ATR in hopes that the buyers can actually step up here off that trap, right? Because I think it's pretty safe to say that that looks like a trap, right? Coming into lunch where they kind of trap those shorts, everyone who was holding short. Let's kind of weasel those guys out of the position. Let's reclaim this 20 SMA and let's kind of go higher, right? So that gray box, and I guess I could change it to green to kind of, you know, visualize here for us that this is a demand zone, right? Assuming we hold this demand zone, we could look for a bounce, right? I can actually move this now to low of day. That's what I would be looking at. Now again, your pressure is down, so don't get upset if you get taken out on a new low, right? It's you're throwing on an idea and you're managing the risk. That's what you're doing. Now, I'm not saying that it's a great opportunity to go long, but it is a little idea. It's a little idea. The only other idea that I can see for a short is that we get rejected at the 20 SMA or even get rejected as high as the VWAP, right? I'd like to see that happen before you decide to get short. I'm not opposed now. I'm not super anxious to continue to chase this short. I've taken this move short twice in the past 30 minutes. So I don't really want to chase this short anymore. I'd rather wait for something completely new to set up before, you know, before I want to, you know, I guess get long or short, right? To be honest. The bigger case that I do want to make in terms of, you know, looking at this from a macro view is that as great as a run that we've had, the market is again, I hate using the word like oversold and extended and shit like that, because it sounds so fucking basic, like that every trader who just read their first, trading book says. But if you look at where we are in terms of your daily moving averages, your daily supports, we are far away. Like where we do need some type of pullback, right? We need even a little piece of news or something to kind of reset this chart. Because the chart, every day we're kind of gapping up and we're gapping up and we're gapping up and we're gapping up. So the pullbacks is just basically pulling back into the range that we gapped up from. It becomes extremely more difficult, especially at all-time highs, to find levels to trade other than looking for those pullbacks into support until the chart resets itself, meaning until we retest 22,150, 22,000 even, 21,833, until we get a retest of one of those areas. It's going to be extremely difficult to kind of find those good spots to even get long at, because we're not even really getting a decent pullback to go long. Like I can make a case that maybe Asian session, London session lows is a good spot where if you sweep and reclaim, right, might be a good spot. So if I kind of go back in this range here, I guess I can say make a case for like 22,384. So that'd be right here in the middle of where we're currently at. That would be a good spot to go long, especially since the market's kind of been pulling back a little bit. But that's the thing. The point is, when you're in an uptrending market, which we've been for the better half of a month and a half, when you're in an uptrending market, the pullbacks, they don't have to go to demand. That's the thing. They don't have to, which makes it a little confusing for the average trader, because when you're in an uptrending market where the market is strong, you're looking at these levels, these price targets, these areas where we can kind of come down into. And then when it doesn't do that, you're kind of like, well, why didn't it do that? What the hell happened, right? When you're in an uptrending market, the same thing for when you're in a downtrending market, the market can stop at any time when you're going against a trend. It can stop at any time. So the trend is your friend. Everyone has heard that. Your better opportunities is to look for the longs, right? But you got to find the area where the long has a good previous support from. And right now, we don't have that if we can't get a test of 22,384, of 22,326. Until we get that, you're not really getting a decent spot to go long. So what I would recommend for all prop firm traders right now is, and this is what I'll be doing into the foreseeable future until we can get down and test some of these daily demand levels, my trading is going to go to a scalp mentality only, where I'm looking to take between 5 and 10 points. I don't really care if the move goes 30 or 40 points. I'm not a greedy son of a bitch. What I want to do is make money. What I want to do is keep my accounts. I don't want to blow accounts for the sake of fucking blowing accounts because I can't figure out what the market's doing. If someone catches a trade out there on social media and they're touting that, oh man, it was so easy today to catch, a 40, 50 point move. Am I saying that the market is extremely hard to trade right now? No, I think that there's definitely a lot of setups. I think I've got between, 7 to 10 scalps today, right? I think the market's okay to trade, but I think that you got to know that you better not have super high expectations, right? Like today I'm firing at a 71% win rate. 71% win rate, and we've taken 12 trades. So, a lot of these are scalps. A lot of these are scalps between 5 and 10 points, where I'm just looking to identify a specific setup or a specific level, get in, try to make money very, very quickly. What's the downside of that? If I start sizing up too big and I start taking these losses and I allow them to accumulate, that's where taking small wins and taking a big 30-point loss is going to fucking hurt you, right? So instead of being the person who makes excuses and complains about, well, if I take these small profits and I give up a bigger loss, I'm going to be negative. It's not going to be beneficial. How about you just be a little bit more of a man and you accept the fact that if you're green, why don't you throw your fucking ego aside and finish green? okay? Because I'll be the first to tell you, and I tell myself this in the mirror every single fucking day. I am not the world's greatest trader, and I don't claim to be, and I will never be. So just because I sit here at the screens and trade more does not necessarily mean I'm going to make more money, okay? So get that out of your head. If you're lucky enough to find some levels, find some spots to make a trade, guys, if we break through 419s, this might just grind down, okay? We are trying to confirm the previous hour low. I would look towards that Asian session low where we opened up yesterday. 384 is maybe the soft landing spot. But you got to get to a point. You got to get to a point where you stop making excuses, okay? And I've been on this YouTube thing for like 5 years. I've ran a trading community for like 4.5 years. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. We've all been there. We all deal with the same problems, guys. You know, no one is better than the other person. But the only thing that I see different between people who are able to extract money from the markets over time is that they don't really have an ego. They're not really going to let a lot of things get to them. They're just going to keep pounding the sand every single day and showing up to work. And the people that I see that always, are struggling, I guess, they make so many fucking excuses. Like, you got to get out of your head. You make so many excuses. It's always the market. The market is choppy. Blah blah blah. It's never your fault. You spent all this time learning and it still doesn't work. It's just a lot of excuses, right? I've talked to a lot of people. They've been up $200-300 on a day, and then by the end of the week that account is blown. And it's like, well, what happened between Tuesday and between Friday? Well, the first trade of the day that I took was a loser, and I revenge traded. That's your fucking problem, right? That's not the market's problem. The market's not going to be perfect for you to trade every single day. And so why is it that you don't want to understand that? Why is it that you think you're going to learn some specific strategy or setup and you're never going to lose, or you're never going to feel emotions? Like, does that make sense? It doesn't really make sense when you zoom out, right? When you really zoom out and you ask yourself those questions, you really sound stupid. Like, you really sound stupid. And there's a lot of traders who sound stupid. They sound stupid, right? Like you sound ridiculous, at the end of the day. Like, a lot of people are soft and they want excuses. They want to blame something. Oh, prop firm rules this. Oh, this company doesn't pay out. How many times have you been paid out? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, people talk shit and bash Apex all the time. I've been taking payouts from Apex for 2 years. Like, have I been denied before? Yeah. Did I cry about it? No. Did I break a rule? Yeah. Am I going to complain about breaking the rule? No. What was the rule that I broke? 30% fucking consistency. It's not a secret. Like sometimes you break rules. Sometimes you go on tilt. Sometimes you lose accounts. I hate to go off on a tangent, but I'm just fucking tired of always seeing people always complaining. People are wanting to find the magic sauce. Even with like YouTube and stuff, I read comments from other YouTube creators, and I see people they want an exact answer, black or white. I'm here to tell you, trading is all gray area. Okay, there is no black or fucking white. The only thing that's black and white in trading is how much do you want to lose today, and where are you comfortable walking out with a win on the day. That's it. If you tell yourself you don't want to lose no more than $250, then why the fuck did you lose $1,000 today? Does that make sense? Start asking yourself the question, does it really make sense? No. Who's shooting yourself in the foot? The market or you? I think it's you. Well, I followed this person's strategy and it lost. That's your fucking fault. That's your fault, right? You probably have one account, and the person that you're following probably has a gajillion accounts that they don't really care if they take a loss. That's the difference. You probably have $5,000 in your trading account, they probably have $100,000. That's the difference. That's the difference. Right? So you have to figure out at the end of the day what works best for you, what works best for your mentality, what works best for your strategy, your personality. For me, I've always known that sitting in a move, I had setups today that started way up here at 22,489. The market has dropped to 419. I've had setups that have paid over 50, 60 points today. Did I take it and hold it for 40, 50 points today? No, I didn't. That's not who I am as a trader. I know that. I get too frustrated when it bounces against me. I get too impatient when I see it chopping around. So you know what works best for me? Taking a trade and either it works quickly or it doesn't. If it doesn't work quickly, then just get out of the trade, because time's going to pass, a day's going to pass. I'm going to forget about the loss that I took. But you know what when I don't forget about a loss that I took? When I do stupid shit. When I hold things for too long, when I, in the past I used to dollar cost average, and when I was trading options and stocks, it's like, a big problem that I used to have when I was trading options, or when I still trade options, but I don't trade this problem anymore, was I would enter into a weekly expiration contract. Let's say I'm trading Tesla or something, level looks good, it bounces against me, and I hold it overnight, right? And then the next day it gaps in the other direction, and then I gave back all the gains and some, and then I'm just pissed off, and then I take a loss on it. When yesterday I could have taken a win on it. So I have completely eliminated swing trading overnight when I'm holding weekly expirations. If I want to swing trade a stock, I'm going a minimum of 1 month out, and I'm looking at daily and weekly levels to target. And that's a swing trade, and I'm not planning on getting out of it until I'm stopped out, technically, or it hits that target. But it's a swing trade. I'm not worried about what the market says we're going to do. I don't really give a shit what the market says we're going to do. The analysts, they can say whatever the fuck they want to say. It doesn't have nothing to do with my trading. And it shouldn't have anything to do with everyone else's trading as well. That's where people, what are we worried about that for? What are we worried about that for? The market wants to go up 100% from here or down 100% from here. It's still got to go through levels. It's still got to go through levels. So stop over analyzing it, because at the end of the day, what they're saying is going to happen maybe might take 2 or 3 weeks to happen. What they're saying can happen might not happen at all. So it's up to you to make money on a daily basis, right? Like to me, that's a big excuse. I'm not a news trader at all. Like, does the news move markets? Absolutely. Do FOMC, CPI, PPI, does Trump headlines, do they move markets? Absolutely. Do I really care? Absolutely not. Like I do not have my foot to the gas on every headline or what people are expecting, right? A 30% crash, what? I mean, like, okay, so short the market, right? Short it. So only one thing we're trying to do here is we're trying to make money. We're trying to make money. We're not worried about what everyone else is saying or doing. So holding this 22,419 level now, that's the low of day. Kind of looking at this rounding out process here. Still a little weak on the smaller time frames now, and the larger time frames are starting to the larger time frames started to become a little bit more weak too. But again, I mean, we've been pulling back slowly for 3 hours here, and truth be told, we haven't really lost any level of support that is significant, right? So, you could definitely very well see a bounce. We're still in this demand zone here. That little green box, I drew a little green box on my screen from this hammer candle at 920, right? 920. I'm using that 18-point range as a demand zone. Until it is invalidated, meaning we make a new low, I am looking for price to bounce out of here. Now, if we make a new low, I'm going to expect this to kind of slowly grind down into 22,384. But again, you break the low, you backpedal back into this demand zone. Market's going to test to see if it's going to be turning into supply. It could trickle. I think it's going to be like a more of a grindy move to the downside. We have confirmed the previous hour low, guys. So now that we're below that previous hour low, we are below 20 SMA and VWAP. Pressure is down right now. You can kind of look to these London lows here as supports. 405 might be an intermediate level of support as well. Just a lot. The thing with shorting against the strong market is that you just have so many little levels of support that are along the way, you know? Like there's so much where this could bounce, you know. There's the breakthrough 419, 405. I had a level, right? So 405 and then 384. Not looking to do anything here. Like I said, I'm not looking to chase this move short anymore. I'm more so looking for an area where you can maybe get a little bit of a bounce. You know, if one was short, you know, even if you were short through that bear flag and you just kind of held all the way through, because again, remember on these bear flag breaks, that original candle that broke the bear flag was an 18.5 point range. So this range was your stop loss. So if you break outside the range to the top side, you get out. But it broke that bear flag at 9:05 Pacific Standard Time. The low price was 22,434. Price has now just swept all the way down to 410s. It's over 20 points, right? So like if one was in that trade, I would hope and imagine that profits were taken, right? I would hope and imagine that profits are taken. You know, because you can sit here and say, well, I think we're going down here. I think we're going down here. But who are you, right? Like, that's the thing. Who are you to say what you think's going to happen? It can. I don't want to be a negative Nancy and say it can't go down there. But what, like, again, I'm such a realist. I can only control what I can control. Like, I can control taking that 10-point profit that I took. I can control that because I got out of the trade, right? I can control taking 5 points. I can control taking 7 points. I can control what I see on the screen when I see it on the screen. You know, you can have price targets until you're blue in the face, but it doesn't mean that it has to get down there, right? Nice, Eric. 80 times 13 accounts. Beautiful. Plus 175 on another. That's a great day's work there. You know, that's a great day's work there. You're looking at um, a hell of a day's work. Yeah, I mean you're up almost $1,000 or over $1,000 because you got what 900 on two top steps. Yeah, perfect. I mean that's a great day's work right there to build on and just to, you know, kind of come in and do that, right? You don't have to really, like, you know what the problem is, Eric, for a lot of people is they try to do $900 on one account and they try to do that every single day, right? Nah, you take $50 here, $100 there, $500 here, $400 there. You spread that out across multiple accounts, and now you're starting to cook. Now you're starting to cook. So, you know, definitely, again, having a lot of accounts. Yeah, I mean, I've been telling everyone that for a while, right? The more accounts that you have, especially when you trade prop firms, it's like I used to tell people on the options and in stock side of things. I used to have people come into the community who would have, let's say, a $2,000 trading account, and they were so reliant on the one or two trades a day that they were taking that they needed to work. So what you're naturally doing subliminally is you are putting a lot of pressure on yourself that the trade that you do take needs to work Because if not, you're living in this constant fear of, I'm going to lose my account. I'm going to lose 50% of my account, 25% of my account. This is a nice sweep here with the bounce. This is a nice sweep here with the bounce. Look for this 20 SMA supply here to see if we can reclaim that. This is a good bounce here. And it's like the same thing with the prop firms, right? If you have 2 or 3 prop firms and you're kind of copy trading those and you take a $400 or $500 loss, $300 loss, you're very stressed out because it's like you got to crawl back, you got to get the money back, you don't want to finish red, you don't want to finish red. Someone who's got 10, 15, 20 accounts and you're kind of trading them individually, you're trading them separately, yeah, the gains per account is smaller, but your stress levels are way lower. So you want to be less stressed when it comes to trading, because then you're able to make more clear and cleaner decisions versus always like in this flight or fight mode where you're always panicked. You're always you don't want to take the loss. So many people hate taking the loss because it's going to set them back so much. Maybe it does set you back if you're trading one account. I get it. But you need to invest into your business, invest into yourself, and you've got to start adding more money to your account, right? Just the same way someone has a $50,000 trading account, they're going to feel less stressed taking a $300-$400 loss than someone who's got a $1,000 trading account, right? It's only logical and only makes sense. And I've told people this from the beginning. Do you want to know who makes money in this business? It's people who have money. But do you want to know what attracts people to this business? Is that you can make big money really fast with no money. It's so counter opposite. The only people who make money in this business are people who make or who have money. That's it. Now, can you take one account and get it paid out and take $2,000 and reinvest that into more accounts and take $2,000 from 2 accounts and now that's $4,000? Absolutely. It does take time. But let me tell you what happens along the way. They have more money. They're no longer trading on one account. Now they have 2. Now they have 3, right? So the person with more money wins all the time. And if you don't want to believe that, I'm sorry, you're living in a fantasy world. These markets don't care if you've got 2 accounts on SIM through some prop firm. They don't care. The market doesn't give a shit. The market will just eat you up and chew you out. If you can't control yourself, you can't invest more money into your business, you don't know when to stop yourself out. You don't know when to walk away. You're gambling every day. You're trading too much size. I get it. We've all been there. Like, again, all these things I'm saying are things that I know because I've been there. They're not things that I'm saying because I'm sitting at some top of the mountain and I'm just, oh, well, I'm just shooting shit off my ass. I've been there. I've tried to trade these accounts with 1 or 2 accounts. I know how to trade. I've been doing this for a while. You put a lot of stress on yourself, right? So I just say, well, fuck, I got fucking money to go buy 20 of these damn things. Why don't I just go buy 20 of these things and see how many I can get to pay out, how many I can get to pass, right? And then reinvest that money and just keep it rolling, right? So, like I'm a shark. Like I'm a shark. I'm very hard on myself. Right? I'm very hard on myself. I'm a very competitive person by nature. Like, I don't like to lose just as much as the next man doesn't like to lose. So guess what? I'm going to try to figure out reasons on things that I can do to win more. And it doesn't mean how much more money I'm going to win per trade. It means how can I win more long term? How can I win more long term? I like that approach, Eric. I like that approach. Oh boy. So getting awfully close here to trying to reclaim this 20 SMA. We are coming out of lunch here. So what did we do? What are we going to do coming out of lunch, right? What are we going to do coming out of lunch? You know, I don't know, but we could definitely make some ideas for ourselves. Like if we start to reclaim this 20 SMA, I mean, we could definitely continue to bounce back into 460s, 470s. That's about 20 points from here. Any bounce that gets rejected and you lose low of day, well, then that's a clear short opportunity for continuation to the downside. The 1 hour chart is remounting the 1 hour 20 SMA, which is bullish. That is bullish. So what I would be looking for here, fellas, is at the top of the hour, if your new hour candle starts to confirm this hour candle's highs, that might be a good indicator to see if you can ride that back up to the upside a little bit. Now, whether you choose to scalp that move or whether you choose to put on some smaller size and kind of hold that move a little bit more is your prerogative, but that is the idea, right? So let's see here what we want to do. I can move this box here. So we are trying to close back over this 20 SMA. Can we get a little bit of a push higher here? We have about 2.5 minutes before this 5-minute candle closes anyway, so I can't really do anything until it closes. So I'm gonna kick back here. I'm actually gonna go downstairs. I'm gonna get something to drink, and then I'm gonna come back upstairs, guys. Be right back. Got 2 minutes anyways. All right, I'm back. Fresh hour candle about to print here. I'm kind of interested in maybe the next candle opening up, pulling back slightly, and then confirming this high. That would be something I'm interested in. Okay, we just confirmed this 20 SMA play here. The previous candle is 9 points and the ATR is 17. So, I don't know. Like 6 to 8 points would be something that I would be interested in. 6 to 8 points with a 10-point stop loss. Probably going to be one of my last trades of the day today. I would have preferred that it didn't spit out the wick to start, and I would have preferred it pulled back first. Typically, when you spit out this wick right away, it then tends to pull back and then go. But whatever. whatever. So we'll see here. Currently up 2.5 points on this trade. 17-point ATR. Market's moving very, very slowly. I got a 10-point stop loss on this 20 SMA trade here. Again, if I kind of look at this, this is the first remount of this 20 SMA going all the way back to 745, literally an hour off the open, probably just a dead cap bounce to get rejected. Definitely keeping a tight leash on this, not gonna give up too much on it, to be honest. Nice work, Batson. Nice work. Good trading today, buddy. We got about a minute left on this 5-minute candle. This 5-minute candle closes below my range here. I get out of the trade. It just looks like a failed move there. So we're not down that much here. 9 points is not shit. Okay, I'm out. 13-point loss. What I'm watching now, 22,419. 22,419. Does this hold, right? Does this area hold? If it does, again, I'll lean into the bounce a little bit more. If it doesn't, that low of day down here at 22,410, if gets taken, you could see that kind of wipe out into 22,384. Bias has flipped on a 5-minute time frame to short. The range or the supply zone on that is 17 points. I am not in a short position here, so I'm going to wait for something to happen. I'm going to keep my eyes on the low of day, and I'm going to keep my eyes on the reclaim once more. Also, rule of thumb for me is 2 losing trades in a row. No matter where it comes in the day, on whatever account I'm trading, it gets washed. So it means I stop trading it. So this current account, I took a 13 and a tick, 13 and a quarter point loss. We're still up 540 and 20 cents. So 540 and 20 cents. So not too bad of a loss there. I can afford to take one more trade and lose on it and then walk away, right? So that's a hard rule that I have for myself, is no matter where it comes in the day, it's 2 losing trades in a row means that no more trades on that account. You know what I'm saying, guys? And let's say, for example, I take another trade and it wins, well then I can take another trade. Does that make sense? Like that's kind of how I operate it. Like if I lose 2 trades back to back, yeah, that account is done. It's kind of how I keep trying to help manage my risk, you know? Yeah, it does, Eric. It does. Basically, same kind of patterns here from yesterday. Just kind of holding up here, not really doing too much. So, you know, we just got to just sit on our hands, sit on our hands. Looking for another push up here. I'd like to see this kind of bottom out and put in a little bit of a bounce. I mean, 3 hours of a pullback here on those hourly candles kind of feels a little exhausted here. Maybe Even if the selling is going to continue, I think they need to reload at a little bit higher prices. So here's another little bit of a push. So we have a few minutes here on this. I want to see this close back over our 20 SMA. At what hour mark do you guys get you know, drained from the market? I think it's about this time where I just like, that's it, the day's over. Day's over. 3, 4 hours for me, it's tops. And that's even a long time. I like when I just find a couple setups early, an hour, hour and a half, and then just walk away. Yeah. Yeah, I see those levels, AJ. Batson makes sense. It's a good time. I like the mm, yeah. Yeah, I don't really like trading too much. Oh shit, here's my trade. This 20 SMA trade is my trade here. So that's a 18-point range there. This is a second attempt here of trying to reclaim the 20 SMA. Again, remember, hard rule in place here. 2 losing trades in a row means we stop trading on the day. Again, we walk away with the balance, whatever it is. But yeah, a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours tends to be tops, right? Tends to be tops. 4 hours, I kind of just feel like I've been sitting at the charts for 4 hours today, and then I just kind of feel all burned out. You start to take a little bit more loosey goosey trades and start to just throw a bunch of ideas around. 1 hour chart, guys, is trying to remount the 20 SMA. We do have resistance at 22,471. That's definitely something I'm looking at. 471. ATR is about 17 points. So
For me, anything between 8 and 9 points, let's call it 8 and 10 points, take profit for a scalp. 17 points would put me at a 1-to-1, which is, where would 17 points be? So 441, we go 51, maybe about right here in this area. Market just really doesn't know what it wants to do with itself right now. Yeah, just a whole lot of no reason to really go up or down right now, right? Uh, 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 uh.
Getting a nice push up here off this 20 SMA. Let's see if it wants to give us a little follow through. You know, we need a little bit more than that. We need a little bit more of a push than that. See if this wants to cook a little bit. Previous candle high was sitting at 22,441 and a half. So 46 and a half would give you a 5-point take profit on a scalp. There's your 5 points there. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm out. 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 Beautiful fucking trade. Beautiful trade. Again, first one didn't work. Second one was a short. That wouldn't have worked. I just stayed out of that. And then we catch it all back here. So we're going to finish the day here with 554.96. 554.96. And it damn near is almost a 1-to-1. So again, for those of you guys wondering, why do I use the ATR so much? Why? Well, look at the ATR. It's 17 points. If you cut the ATR in half and you say, I'll take a profit between 8 and 9 points, that's half of an ATR. If you say I'm looking for a 1-to-1, then you want, 16, 17, 18 points. Your entry price should have been, or again, entry price for me was over 22,441 and a half. Okay. Why? That's the reason why high. So 22,441 and a half. You get into the trade when the following candle confirms. And from 441 and a half to 56.57, guys, is a 1-to-1 pretty much. It's a 1-to-1. Take the gains. Who's going to complain about a 10, 15, 16 point take profit, right? Oh, but what if it goes up all day? Sure, but what if you just take your profits? Move your stop loss to break even. That's cool. If you're trading multiple contracts, cool. Take some profits off at a half ATR at a 1-to-1. And then, from there, just have a stop loss at break even and trail up. right? Trail up. Maybe even put a stop loss into profit, you know, up like 4 or 5 points, you know, maybe 46s and a halves, put a stop loss there. That way, the worst thing that's going to happen to you is your runner is going to make 5 points, right? Runner's going to make 5 points. But do we see how that works? That's how I trade, guys. It's very, very simple. It's very simple. I look for a few different things, and I don't try to make shit too complicated, you know? The easier it is, to identify what I want to do, the better my trading is, you know, and just stick to the rules. Guys, this is going to be a full 1-to-1 here. Full 1-to-1 there. That's it, guys. Hope you guys all had a good trading day. Again, if you're going to continue to trade, you know, be safe, right? Manage your risk, maybe even trade a little bit less size, but I am done for the day. 4 hours trading today in the markets. I'm absolutely spent. We're going to walk away on the day with $550 in this Top Step account. And that's it. That's it. That's all she wrote for me today, guys. Appreciate you guys for being here. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you didn't, hey, you know, maybe tomorrow you will. Again, we take it day by day around here, guys. We take it day by day around here. We don't try to do too much. I'll catch you guys all in the Discord. Catch you guys all on Discord a little later.